Hey guys, my name is Jay and I'm one of the expert teachers at e2language.com. In this lesson, we're going to look at Ielts reading, and we're going to look at the first of 3 fundamental skills that you need to succeed in Ielts reading. Yes, it's important to understand the question types and to do practice, but if you don't have the fundamental skills, it's really hard to get a good score. We're going to look at detail. So in fact, there are 3 fundamental skills you need. The first one is detail. The second one is the main idea. That's your ability to look at a paragraph and to boil it down into a single idea, the main idea. That's also very important. The third one is logic, which particularly relates to the true, false, not given, yes, no, not given questions. But as I said, in this one, we're going to look at detail, how to read for detail. It applies to these questions: multiple choice, match sentence endings, match features, diagram labeling, and short answer questions. So if you encounter any of these types of questions on your exam, which you probably will, you will need to be able to read for detail. Before we begin, I want to do a little warm-up. Let's get our brains thinking about detail. When I talk about that, what I really mean is your ability to notice, to identify a synonym. Because what happens in Ielts reading is you'll have a question. And the question will have a keyword. And then in the passage, you'll have a corresponding keyword, but it won't be the same word. It will be synonymous. It will be a synonym. Let's think about some simple synonyms like big, right? Big. There's an adjective. What are some other adjectives that mean the same thing? Gigantic, massive, large, huge, enormous, etc. These are synonyms. You need to have a big vocabulary because Ielts is out to trick you, but you can beat it. So let's do a little warm-up. I want you to pause the video for 2 minutes and find the synonyms. Just let me give you a little hint. They may not be in the same word form. For example, on the left here we have a present simple verb. In the passage, it may be a noun, or it may be a past tense verb. But you're going to be looking through the word form to the meaning. I want you to think about the meaning. Do it quickly. 2 minutes starts now. Cool. All right. So let's go through and look at the answers. If you haven't finished yet, you can pause this and continue trying. Let's look at the answers. The answers are this: increase, boosted, both verbs, one in the present simple, one in the past. Catch, captured, same. 2 verbs, different forms. What about distinct and unique? Well, they're both adjectives. Brighter and more luminous. These mean the same things. They're both adjectives, but one of them has the form of putting ER on the end, bright, brighter. But luminous, you can't say luminouser, so you say more luminous. So you can imagine in the question in the Ielts that it might have the word brighter, but in the passage it says more luminous. This is where you need to look. Wonder, phenomenon, muddled together, tangled web, bows, arcs, crashes, collisions, enormous, massive, car crash, demolition derby. This is a phrase. You may also be faced with phrases, synonymous phrases. Cool, well done. Let's do a live mock test. We're going to do those question types that I talked to you about before. We've now warmed up our brains. We know what we're doing. Let's answer some questions. What I want you to do is get out a piece of paper and write down 1, 2, 3, all the way to 15. This will be your answer sheet. Because as we go, I want you to write your answers next to the numbers. There will be letters or there will be words. They are your answers. And your score will be out of 15. Now, I don't recommend doing this in the Ielts. I don't think there's enough time to just sit and read the passage and then start going through the questions. You have to move so quickly. What I did when I did my Ielts reading and I got a 9, I didn't read the passage from beginning to end. I just went straight to the questions and then identified keywords and began answering the questions immediately and sort of read as I went. I read as I went. I looked at the question, read as I went, read as I went. Sounds strange. That's what I did. Anyway, give yourself 30 seconds to read this paragraph here. Cool. All right, now we're ready for the questions. We're going to start with multiple choice. Pause the video and give yourself 3 minutes. Excellent. Now we're on to match sentence endings. What you have to do, if you see, look at number 4, it's only half a sentence. You need to find the other half of the sentence. It's either going to be A, B, C, D, or E. Which half of the sentence matches to number 4 according to the passage? Pause the video and give yourself 3 minutes. Rock and roll, we're doing well. Now we're up to questions 7 to 9. This is very similar, but it's about matching information. If you look at number 7, you'll see it says, were methodically studied. So we're looking for something. And if you look in that box down the bottom, it says astronomical things. So what we're doing is we're matching the thing, the noun, to the verb phrase. So it's either going to be 7A, B, C, D, or E. Pause the video and give yourself a couple of minutes. In this one, we're looking at a diagram. We need to label the diagram. So let me just help you out here. This is number 10. This yellow thing here is number 10. Number 11 is this thing here. This thing here is number 11. And number 12 is this thing here. I want you to read this and I want you to label these using this instruction that you can only use 1 or 2 words maximum. Give yourself 2 minutes. Cool. We're on to the final one, 13 to 15. This is short answer question or answer short question. I can't remember what it's technically called. The answer to the question will be a word taken directly from the passage. Number 14 is a bit tricky. If you get stuck on 14, do number 15 and then come back to 14. Give yourself 3 minutes for this one. Let's have a look at the answers. The answers are this. Number 1 is B. How many stars are binary? Well, the vast majority are binary. Let's have a look at the passage because there's a little trick here. Here it says stars. If you wrote all, it's probably because you saw sun-like stars. It's not asking you about sun-like stars, it's asking you about normal stars. This first part of the passage talks about stars and it says many, if not most, stars are binaries. What does that mean? That means the vast majority. Number 2, astronomers believe that sun-like stars start out as binaries. All of these other options are incorrect because they don't become binaries. Sun-like stars don't split into 2, and sun-like stars don't destroy each other. They start out as binaries. What's our synonym? Our synonym here, start out, born as. Born as is the phrase that means the same thing. What about number 3? How many sun-like stars tighten together? Well, here it says most subsequently split up, while the rest become tight binaries. Well, if most split up, what is the ratio of the rest of them? Well, it's some, because it's not most, it's not almost all, and it's not a very small number. It's some. So 1B, 2B, 3A. Number 4, a team of astronomers studied young stars methodically. That's the only one that makes sense because a team of astronomers eventually split or tighten, or a team of astronomers are also known as nest eggs, doesn't make much sense. 4B. What about 5? Astronomers deduced that sun-like stars eventually split or tighten. But where do we find this, and what does deduced mean? Well, here's our key word, and if we look into the text, we can see deduced, we can see concluded. There's our synonym, concluded. What about number 6? Well, 6D. Dense cores are also known as nest eggs. Dense cores are also known as nest eggs. If we look into the passage, we can see this says nest eggs called dense cores. That is the answer there. Number 7. This is where we're matching the information. Something was methodically studied, or some things were methodically studied. What were they? Well, here we find our synonym, methodically, systematically. And what's it talking about? Very young stars. So 7 is E. Very young stars were methodically studied. Number 8, contains dense cores. Well, it's 8A, Perseus molecular cloud. Fine. Here it's talking about dense cores, and it says astronomers teamed up to systematically study very young stars inside their nest eggs called dense cores in the Perseus molecular cloud. So the Perseus molecular cloud contains dense cores. 9 are born as pairs far apart. We saw this before, it was the sun-like stars. They're born as wide binaries, or in 2. Cool, now we're up to the labeling the diagram, and this is pretty tricky. Number 10 is binary star. Number 11 is dense core. Number 12 is scattered rock. Excuse me. If we look into that passage, we can see that. Especially number 11 and 12. That's fine. That's quite easy. Number 10, well, it's talking specifically about binary stars. So we say, and that's 1. We're looking at 1. So we say binary star. Cool. Last set of questions. The answer short question, questions short answers, answer questions that are short. 13. Which star has never been discovered? Well, here's our synonym. Discovered, found. What's the detail we're looking for? The detail is nemesis, capital N. Number 14. What tool did the astronomers use to think up their new claim? What's their new claim? What about the new assertion? There's your synonymous phrase. Well, they used a radio survey, but we only have 2 words, 1 or 2 words we can use, so we just put radio survey. The final question, in addition to the tool, what else did the astronomers use to explain their observations? Well, if you see down here, it says a mathematical model that can explain the Perseus observations. Mathematical model is the right answer. If you wrote model, it's not enough. You needed the mathematical model, that extra information, that extra detail. Cool. So here are the scores. We've got 1B, 2B, 3A, 4B, 5E, 6D, 7E, 8A, 9B, 10 binary star, 11 dense core, 12 scattered rock, 13 nemesis with a capital N, 14 radio survey, and 15 mathematical model. Cool. I hope you enjoyed that. Do check out e2language.com. Why? Because we give you lots of skill building stuff like this, as well as methods, step-by-step processes to answer those questions. We have broken them down for you. If you need help with writing, we also give you feedback. We give you written feedback, tutorials, we have live classes, have overview lessons, we have a pronunciation app, we have heaps of stuff. Check it out. If you need help with your IELTS, do that. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.